Do you think aliens eat, like, do you think Jadoo ate food?
Probably.
Hey everyone, this is Dr. Siddhant Bhargav. It's Food Darzee's second year anniversary, and in celebration, I welcome you to the first episode of Healthy Conversations. Joining me here today are two of our very good friends, Urvi and Tharun. So, Urvi Shetty is a fashion model and the winner of India's Next Top Model Season 4, and Tharun Sholarajan is a fitness model and a fitness coach. So, Urvi, the formal introduction is done. Tell us who Urvi Shetty really is.
So I'm a fashion designer by profession and model by fashion. So after my graduation, I got into modeling. So yeah, it's going really well as of now.
How long has it been? So you finished your graduation, was that in fashion designing itself?
Right.
And then post that you decided to pursue modeling. Why?
So faculty told me that why do you have to pay for models if you look like one? So I just tried for my pocket money post my graduation and it went well and I'm still into modeling.
Mr. Tharun Sholarajan. Should we actually say Rajan? Tharun Rajan.
That was my dad's name. South Indian, so you carry on your dad's name, right? That's how it is. Alright, so my thing is I used to be 120 kilos. I talk about that a lot whenever I meet people because I was half my age then at that weight.
How old are you right now?
I'm 36 years old. So at half my age, I was 1.5 times my body weight. But that is still not my why I do this. It's not just to stay fit and healthy and look good and feel good, but more about helping people, you know. So I come from an amazing family. My dad was the top IRS officer in the country.
Some pressure.
Yeah, but yeah, that was a lot of pressure from this side, but not from my dad ever. So it was all about sports and also finding a balance between studies and also your sports.
Were you a nerd? Were you a geek?
A little bit, very naughty nerd actually. Yeah. So everything was good until 1994, and then my dad, unfortunately, he passed away. So that's where the paradigm shifted. Everything was all about studies and marks, right? So yeah, everything shuts down, and then you start putting on weight when you're studying, right? So that's my story, you know. But what actually motivated me to start getting into the fitness industry and to help others is because I've seen what it's done to my family. It's been really difficult on my mother, you know, 15-20 years. Firstly, losing the love of your life, the father of your children. It's insanely terrible what disease can do to a family, and it's not because they didn't care about themselves. It's just that they were not educated about what they're doing to themselves. Correct? What kind of food is going down your throat? What stress can do to you? What lack of activity can do to you? And this is what I want to help people get through these challenges as well, and educate them as to what they're doing to themselves. Yeah. Yes, and maintain a balance in life. You don't have to look like a fitness model. You don't need to have shredded abs, and neither does that mean that you're healthy. So that's my why, you know, because I've seen what
that's the point that you're trying to make, right? Like if there is something that you can do consciously about, why not do it? Because the implications of not doing something consciously are pretty wide. Like, it's just not affecting that individual. It's about their family and the close ones around them.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even about, like I said, it's not even about looking a certain way, like having shredded abs or, you know, having big biceps and a V taper. That's not necessarily what I'm promoting in this world. What I'm here to do is to make sure that people live a healthy life so that they can live longer for their families, man.
What do you think about how fitness has moved now into this decade? So, what do you like? I think the fitness movement in India came about somewhere in 2010, 11, 12. That's when people had started getting a little more aware about taking care of their bodies. But do you think fitness now has become less to do with what we just spoke about, but more to do with how one has to look? Do you think that's happening? Or do you think people are mature enough to understand that it doesn't really matter, but they're not looking at the bigger picture. They're just looking at that picture that they want to take of themselves. What do you think?
I wouldn't say it's just in the last 10 years. It's always been about the way you look. But of course, it's all about what the media portrays. And today, because the media is not just a magazine which has power and monopoly over the region, over the masses, or just the newspapers, it's much more the social media.
Yeah, the
Today,
media
social media is
single
mainstream.
smartphone, yeah.
There's no more mainstream media that
Yeah.
was there 10 years ago. Today, social media is mainstream. So today, you don't have to look insanely shredded. Well, of course, that sells a lot. But today, there are people who don't look the way someone might think you should typically look, and still they have an insanely good following because they are their own kind of beauty. Everyone is beautiful in their own way, and the more that's appreciated, I think the more people will be able to sustain their efforts towards a healthy lifestyle, as well as maintaining a balance between, having a few sugary snacks once in a while.
That's true. So, Urvi, in fact, what we just spoke about, your profession that you're typically in, it is that profession, right? Like, so do you feel pressurized? Because, see, you actually came out here and said you're a foodie, which is great, it's liberating. But the kind of profession you're in, is there place for a foodie?
Not really. I wish there was, but there isn't. Like, people usually assume that if there's a model, she has to be skinny, she has to starve herself. But I don't think it's mandatory. If you're a foodie, you can still be a model. You just have to choose right ingredients. Correct. That's it.
So, that's exactly what, in fact, we discuss this all the time. So we're just having normal, like sometimes you're in that zone where you're talking about doing the greater good and being there and trying to improve the world. But the profession we're in, of course, what it takes is we want to see people healthy. Each of us has gone through something or the other which sort of makes us empathize with an unhealthy individual a little more, because there is that story attached, which is why we'll actually put in that extra effort to show him and to tell him what it takes to be healthy and why it's important. But till the time the facade doesn't disappear, do you think people can even concentrate their energies towards being healthy? Like, we do know that consuming an X ingredient, whatever it may be, is good for you, but its side effect possibly could be it causes a little bloating, which means you don't look great on camera. So till the time that facade is not lifted, how do you think this world, or forget the world, the people in this very room, it's the same thing, how do you think they're ever going to be able to be healthy? Like, what can we as three individuals who are in this place as influencers, as trying to make a difference towards that, how do we go about it?
So it's again, the way you look on camera should not define health.
How do you think we're looking on camera right now?
The way you look on camera should not define health. Firstly, if people start understanding that people who are on stage, who look shredded to the bone, they may not be healthy inside. Yeah. The moment they realize that, then they'll make better choices for themselves and stop obsessing over the way you look.
That's true.
Correct? Stop obsessing over the need to look like a model who's on the cover of a magazine or who's been shown on stage. Probably they're totally dehydrated. Probably they have a lot of cholesterol levels as well, because they're highly stressed. They eat the wrong kinds of foods. So once you understand this, that's how the facade is lifted. Yeah. Right? Then you make the right choices for yourself. And maybe even now that we're talking about food, about healthy food, even fruit is healthy, but is it healthy for you?
Agreed.
Yeah. So you would know all about it.
So yeah, I mean, I've got my concepts on what is healthy, but Urvi, how much do you actually invest in your health now? Like, for example, how do you incorporate health into your life? Is it just about because you need to, or have you actually completely, like, the mindset has changed that it's not just about the way I'm looking, it's about I want to keep looking like this for the next 10-15 years, because that's what being healthy also does.
So for me, my profession, it asks me to look healthy and to look young, like forever, maybe. Yeah. So yeah, I have to eat healthy stuff to keep my skin glow and like look better.
And in fact, of course, I'm not an expert on this, but even the makeup and all of that goes on, it keeps degrading your skin, right? So you need to take all the more precautions to actually get rid of that. In fact, So, of late, over the past 1 year or so, I've been obsessed with anti-aging. So everywhere I go to, every talk that I give, it's anti-aging and inflammation is all that I talk about. So, first of all, do you all even believe in inflammation? Because being a doctor, I can tell you this, that we've never been taught about the inflammation that foods can actually cause. But of late, of course, I've started really believing in inflammation, and in fact, I've been so obsessed with it that, according to me, every single thing that goes wrong in our body has got to do with inflammation. So, do you guys even believe in inflammation?
Of course. So I've seen how, for example, currently I'm on intermittent fasting, and I've seen how it's been helping, and of course along with food Darzee, correct? Food Darzee on a low carb. Right? But yeah, so staying on on low carb, on still high calories, but low carb and intermittent fasting has reduced inflammation a lot.
So Urvi, what basically happens? So do you follow like this thing where just before a photo shoot or before a walk or just in general, is there a diet protocol that you follow, or is there a workout protocol that you follow?
Yeah, I do have to be. Since I travel a lot, I don't really get enough time to work out every day. But then prior my shoot, if I have a bikini shoot or something in which my body needs to look good, so yes, I have to follow a diet for at least a week prior. That is how it works for me.
So आप करते क्या उसमें? Like, what do you do? Is there like, so just tell me, like, are your diets really strict, and can you classify them as a diet, or it's just something that you've been doing for so long that doesn't feel like a diet anymore?
Thing is, I've tried so many different diets that my body gets used to it after a while. If I'm doing keto, I get quick results and really good ones for my bikini shoot or anything as such. But then after a month or 1.5 months, when I stop following my diet, I tend to gain weight all of a sudden. I don't know why that happens.
And yeah, also, is it true that when you're in front of a camera, it adds pounds and hota hai?
It does, like, it makes you look at least 7 kgs more.
Wow.
Yeah.
So because even at Food Darzee, I end up working with a lot of people from media, from the profession of entertainment basically. So वो लोग भी यही कहते हैं कि 3 or 4 days before a shoot, they end up cutting salt and they end up cutting water क्योंकि वो bloat हटाना होता है पूरे body में से, and then you're looking chiseled. So is that also what you do? कि
Not
No.
that strict.
I have seen people doing that. My other model friends, they usually do, but I have always been a sick child, so I'm scared to go under such a crash diet. So I usually follow like keto sometimes. I've tried low carb diet. I've tried so many diets, but everything works for a while, but not
So keto ends
permanent.
up being like your go-to thing when you're preparing for something short. Got it. And otherwise, it's just low carb. Isn't this sort of conflicting? So we know what is healthy, and we know what gets us into shape. Do you think both can be done at the same time?
Yes, of course it can. If you use what is the right kind of healthy for you. Okay, so if you're looking at a person who's been struggling to lose weight for past 5-10 years, let's say they were classic example. They were like 18, 19. Your metabolism is amazing. You're not putting on a lot of weight, correct?
We remember those times when we were 18, 19.
Dude, I was like 120 kilos then, so I can't really talk for myself. But yeah, but then is it something that you can sustain for a long period of time? It all depends upon if again that healthy is healthy for you, right? I can eat a banana today, but I know that my body's insulin sensitivity is good, or maybe it isn't. So that's for me to understand my body and do it, right? So that's why even carb cycling as well helps. So healthy is all. It all depends upon the individual, right? And in most people's cases today, because the amount of carbs that you eat are so high, and the processed foods as well that you eat are so high, the junk food with a lot of trans fat and a lot of bad sugars in them, most people have a broken metabolism and broken insulin sensitivity as well.
Correct.
Their cells are resistant to
Correct.
insulin.
You can also add something called leptin resistance. Even that can be added.
Leptin is the fat burning hormone, so you're leptin resistant as well. So when both combine, it's a double whammy, right? And that leads to more and more depression over time.
And this is real. Like, it's happening to every third individual, because this is exactly what is happening. So even a fatty liver, people have this tendency that they call it a disease, but to be honest, it's happening to every third person. So it's rampant. And it happens a lot with even crash diets end up doing a lot more damage. So I'll give you an example. Since both of you guys are models, a lot of my clients will say, I want to look like a model, but they really don't know what it takes to look like a model. In fact, as a model, it's काफी different होगा compared to being a female model and compared to being a male model. Urvi, what does it take to be a female model, a female fashion model now? I'm sure it has to be difficult. Like, I know, but I don't. Coming from your mouth actually makes it so much more legitimate, because what does it actually take to be a female fashion model?
It is very difficult. Like in this society, you're answerable to your parents and so many other people. But being a fashion model, you have to stop thinking about people. All you have to think about is yourself, your future. What do you want, and not think about your parents or society, because there will always be someone to pull you down. That is like really difficult task. Modeling is still easy, but then side mein jo bhi hota hai, it's so difficult to manage that. But somehow you have to overcome that.
And have you? I mean, I won't ask you if you have friends, but I mean, not that way. What I meant was, if you the contact. So when it comes to being stringent with respect to your body, with respect to your diet, there, what does it take when you're being a model? आप करते क्या हो when it comes to the workout thing?
I was into CrossFit.
Is it a workout of the day based training thing that you follow?
I'm just happy about that. I'm 56 and I can live 60.
So what does okay, now do you think this is an ideal body weight?
For me, I think weight does not matter, because if your bones are heavy, you will be heavy no matter how much ever
And
you
that's
shred.
the most important thing.
Yeah.
Like, that weight doesn't matter. That number
Exactly.
on the scale is nothing but.
For
a
me,
number
even
on
if
the
I'm
scale.
losing my fats, I'm gaining muscle there. So my weight is going to be constant, or maybe a little different, but not much.
People do fixate a lot on the
weight.
scale,
Yeah.
and so much to the point that they're checking their weight every other day or even twice a day as well. Yeah, so it's really important to maintain balance as well. Your body will always try to find a balance in terms of its weight. It does not like to change a lot. So yeah, so you will. So in her case, her body has just found an equilibrium. In my case, it's roughly 78 to 82 kilos. That's where I stay throughout the years.
Do you think
That's what it
sleep also plays a major role in the way you look? Because you mentioned that you're traveling.
Yes, definitely.
Like 3 days of the week, you're actually traveling. So does it take a toll on your sleep? Does it take a toll on the timings of your meals? Do you think timings of the meals matter? So since you have the most hectic life over here, so kya hota hai? Like what actually happens?
Yes, I think it definitely does. When you're traveling, you don't really get what you want to eat. So it's so difficult
Are
to.
you a vegetarian? Are you a non-vegetarian?
Non-vegetarian, pure non-vegetarian. And also we tend to get dark circles, and for
Yeah.
models that's like a nightmare. So yeah, sleeping enough and giving yourself enough rest is really important as a model.
And coming back to the female bit that you're speaking about, what's the world out there? Like, that's my question basically.
I think a model can be of any size, whether you're small, medium, or large. Initially, people used to believe that models have to be skinny, they have to look thin. But now I'm glad there's so much progress that people are also welcoming plus size models, which is great. And I'm super proud of these women out there, because being a plus size model, they're happy the way they are.
Correct.
To some extent,
Correct,
at least.
correct.
So yeah, I think I'm really proud of them. I don't think I care what size I fit in, because the way I feel is more important. So for me, fitness is more about a feeling and not something that I have to do every day.
Yeah, like you're happy to go and work out. It's not you're not working out because you're being forced to work out because of the
Yes.
way you need to look. Yeah, and I think it's the same with you. Like being a fitness coach, your life is about fitness.
So when people walk up to me and say, "Hey Tarun, I need to lose so much weight," I'm like, first tell me, what have you been doing in the last 5 years? Right?
And
So
that's
have you
very
been?
important, yeah.
Yeah. So what do you have? Okay, so this is the form. So let me know. Diabetes, is there high insulin issues? Do you have high cholesterol? What are you doing about it right now? What do you think is healthy? Right? What are you eating right now? What do you think is healthy? So once you educate people as to what they're doing is wrong and why it is wrong, then they have a greater understanding of things, and it sets them on a different direction. You can keep shooting in the dark, but if you know that that's the right direction to follow, and within that direction you're able to sway a little bit. It's just like a lane. Again, coming back to cars, right? So I have a lane where 3 or 4 cars can fit. Yeah. So I can stay in that lane, but I know that my destination is right there. So the more I'm able to educate people and help them understand that, hey, buddy, this is what you need to do. This is why what you were doing did not work, and this is why it's not going to work what you're doing right now. And this is the path you need to take. That's when people start making, again, better decisions for themselves.
Like as a doctor, as a nutritionist, it's so important to have a complete history of what your client has been doing, and of course to have a you need to know what he's trying to get to. But that history matters so much because, again, an example: people have been doing diets like it's left, right, and center. Everybody's been on some kind of a diet all their life. Of course, after they're really thinking about what they have to do. And that's sort of degrading their metabolism. Like, of course, we know that diets are the worst thing we do to our body. Each time you go on a calorie deficit diet specifically, you're doing so much harm to your metabolism because you keep giving it a new set point. So once they come to you, they've lost, say, 25, 30 kilos in the process.
Yes.
And from there, they still want to lose another 10. But it's not going to happen because they've been losing weight for so long that their set point has reached.
Yeah.
It's there. So educating them that this is not the correct moment to diet, but to actually build everything
Because
back
a
again.
caloric deficit should get you the over time eventually.
Yeah.
That's 25-30 kilos. Maybe they lost it in 3 months. Maybe they lost it in
Precisely.
1 year, in
Precisely.
2 years, in 5 years. And they got there and they're stuck there. So are you increasing the intensity of your exercise? Are you still on a 500 calorie deficit per day? All of these will matter. But again, there's much more complex things that happen. Are your hormones still balanced?
Yeah.
Correct. So once we understand the person where they're at, and then push them accordingly, that's when they're able to get more results. Because what you did before need not necessarily give you results again.
Correct.
For
And
what you want to do right now.
Spoke about hormones. Of course, female the precipitation of hormonal imbalances are way more in females. So even things like you were talking about breakouts sometime ago. You were telling me that breakouts does become an issue. So do you have too many breakouts? Do you think it's diet related? Do your friends have too many breakouts? Do you think it's travel related? Do you think it's not because of sleeping? What do you think? Like, take kya hai?
I think because of pollution. There's so much pollution out there. Stress and also diet. Like if you have mangoes, anything which has like more heat, then you will get breakout. So yeah, I think for shoots and all, you have to be really careful about your skin. You have to see what you're eating because that will lead to other side effects.
Correct. And again, we spoke about skin right in the beginning. We spoke about the anti-aging bit. So eventually, every single organ, every single cell in your body is going to degrade. Now, some of them have a capacity to regenerate, some of them don't. So most, like your skin, for example, which time it keeps aging, and the only reason for all of this aging is actually inflammation. Something we did touch upon. We didn't speak much about it, but inflammation is actually the cause of all forms of aging. So you need to take antioxidants, you need to take anti-inflammatories to actually get rid of this inflammation so that your body is in a more comfortable environment. In fact, all of our desserts are
Keto friendly?
keto friendly, to theek hai, but they're really low on carbs, there's no sugar in them, and most of them are actually grain free. Because, of course, you must have heard of gluten intolerant, which is why the grain free concept exists. But do you believe in gluten intolerance? Would be like you were telling us that there's a whey protein allergy or something like that you had.
Yeah.
So what's your take on allergies that have suddenly sprung up? Like, this is something that we've noticed that पिछले 2-3 साल में everybody's allergic to something. Do you think it's true?
Like since childhood, I had no allergies. I used to eat junk. I used to eat everything. But now, since I hit puberty, I think I'm allergic to whey protein. I got into fitness. I tried whey protein, and I had like acne and breakouts all over my face, and also allergic to mushroom, which I came to know recently. So it's really strange. Like, why does that happen?
So I think the whey protein bit that you're talking about, one, it could be the ingredients which are also in the whey protein box. Two, if you are allergic to maybe a component of dairy in general, which if you're since you spoke about breakouts, were there any other issue like a lactose intolerant individual? If it's not a whey protein isolate or a hydroxylate, the concentrate still has an X amount of lactose. Also, do you think it was whey protein or do you think it was milk also?
I think it was only whey protein because I always had my shake with water, never milk. But also when I had paneer pehle, like bachpan mein, nothing ever happened. I always had flawless skin. But these days I have realized that if I have paneer, anything which has milk in it, I'm having breakouts. So that could also be a possibility.
Possibly. Which brings us to the point. Do you think it's good to stay off food? certain
What kind of
kinds of food? Exactly. Do you think it's okay to eliminate a certain macronutrient from your diet, or do you think it's okay to not eat certain kinds of food? Because there are a lot of people who promote, they don't call it dieting, it's called flexible dieting, where you're allowed to eat whatever, if it fits your macros bit. But do you think it's good to eat all kinds of foods?
If it fits your macros, let's say I'm burning 2,000 a day, I need to be on a 500 calorie deficit. I don't think I want to eat 1,500 calories of just ice cream or
Why
just
not?
pizza. Hormonal imbalances.
Perfect.
Because of that.
The exercise pattern could change.
Yes.
Like if you're doing fast or plyometric exercises, it's glucose that is taking.
But you still don't have enough of don't have enough of
Correct.
other nutrients. That's micronutrients, which are way more important than macronutrients. So you need more of your micronutrients, and you fail to have them if you're just sticking to very less food or only one type of food, right? For a regular person, you got to be in a calorie deficit. If you want to lose fat, if you want to lose fat, you got to be, or weight, you want to be on a calorie deficit. You eat lesser than
We
what
can
you
actually
want.
have an entire podcast on calorie deficits. Like there's so much to talk about. Next
Also, I wanted to
Hmm.
ask, how often can you have cheat meal? It's like once a day, or
With you guys, it's like I'm eating a chocolate pudding one day. I'm eating a
Yeah.
chocolate almond crepe another day. The other day I ate a strawberry crepe. So I'm pretty happy. I'm very
So, you know,
satisfied.
I think the concept of cheat meal should just vanish, because the moment you call it a cheat meal, you're validating it, and in your head you know you're doing something wrong, but you're still doing it anyway. So it's basically changing up your macros for a particular day is what we call a cheat meal, and I think that's important. Maybe not once a week. I don't believe in having a cheat meal every week, because you're trying to maintain a calorie deficit throughout the week if you're trying to lose weight, or a calorie surplus, whatever it is. But that one cheat meal could actually mess up the whole week. So in my opinion, that's what I advocate, that a cheat meal every once in 2 weeks maybe. Of course, if you're on keto, then maybe a little week would be pushed ahead. But I don't think about cheat meals every week. What are your takes on it? Do you cheat every week?
I do, but I try not to.
Okay. And that's working for you.
Yeah.
Precisely. So that's what we always speak about.
Exactly.
Like, you need to do what's working for you. So
Yeah.
this is my suggestion. But if having a cheat meal every week is working for you, then you make sure you do it.
It's really important to understand influence.
Yeah.
Influence that others have on you. Who are you really listening to? So as long as you let them know, hey, this is my new comfort zone, and you got to get into it and be comfortable with it and support me with my goals. So you can have your cheat meal, but if that means having 15 beers and couple of ice creams and everything else, just because you're pressured
That's
by
not
your mates saying that, or your family saying that, hey, come on, man, you spent 50 grand on your gym membership and you wanted to make this year a difference. A difference in this year, and it did not happen. So what's going to happen? You're going to be frustrated. The next time you go to a gym, you're like, I don't want to spend so much.
Correct.
If you weigh all of this in your head, saying that, hey, I will get that ice cream in, but now I know what that's doing to me.
The point that I was actually trying to make was that with Google being there, nobody really needs to go to somebody, because you can get everything.
That's what they think.
Right.
Exactly. So there is still scope for so much education out there, in spite of having. Did you experience a lot of resistance? Like he mentioned that, I didn't know about that actually. Was there a lot of resistance from home when you were actually entering the field of modeling? Is there
Yes.
still resistance, or is
It's lesser now. Like initially, they didn't support me at all. They were so scared of society, other family members, like relatives. They used to call my parents, "What is Urvi doing? Why is she wearing such clothes in social media?" So yeah, there was a lot of pressure from my parents, and I could say no to society. I could say no to relatives, but not my own parents. So it was really difficult for me to convince them that what I am doing is right. There's nothing wrong about it. As far as you know your limitations, nobody can exploit you.
yeah.
So it was really difficult for me to make them understand, but with time they did.
And in fact, what you're doing is more than just right, because the moment you reach a certain position where you have the ability to be a role model
Exactly.
and to people who faced a similar situation, and then you can actually tell them that there's nothing wrong about it, because you've reached a certain place, you've got that respect, and you're an inspiration then. So kudos to you, man. Like honestly, like being a model with the things that we hear. क्यों करना है? Like for
क्या
example,
होगा?
yeah, like क्यों करना
What
है,
is
क्या
your why
होगा?
exactly?
Where
So,
does this end?
2 years ago, when so of course 2 years ago keto wasn't that big a rage, and when we were starting Food Darzee at that time, keto was a really huge part of my life, and of course that's what I used to propagate also. So there have been so many times that I had to speak to boyfriends and husbands and moms and dads, because they weren't allowing the other individual to be on a ketogenic diet because they thought it was bad. So the people, as you rightly said, around you influence so much that they also do make or break you. So educating everyone around you is also equally important, which I think maybe is the function of this podcast. The reason why we're doing this is so that we can actually reach out to different and a larger section of society, so that maybe they can allow their close ones to feel more comfortable
To make better decisions
to
for
make better
themselves, right?
decisions.
You know, and it was insane resistance. So all I can say is that if you see that someone in your life is trying to make good change in their lives, it could be anything. And because we talk about health, of course, health. If you're not healthy, then you can't do anything. You know? So you just might as well take care of yourself, right?
Yeah.
If someone's trying to take the right foot forward, bloody please encourage them.
And I think being healthy opens up doors you didn't even know existed.
Exactly.
Like if you just say it in conversation, ऐसा लगता नहीं है that being healthy is going to do so much great for you. But I think it opens up so many doors that पता ही नहीं था कि यार ये भी कर सकते थे, ये भी कर सकते हैं, kind of thing.
Now it does.
Yeah. So I totally get what she's saying, you know, because Urvi, what she's doing is like insanely inspiring, because being a girl in this country, for you to, and that too from a certain section of the country which is very conservative when it comes to such activities as modeling, where it's a male-dominated society.
Not anymore.
So it used to be, and the way they used to look down upon
And not
women.
modeling.
So I understand the societal pressure as well, correct? So I understand where the pressure came from in my life and where the pressure is coming from in her life as well. And as long as you accept where it's coming from.
Girl is going to say, "Mom, मुझे Urvi बनना है," and that'll be
It's actually happening now,
What
and
are
it's
you
such
saying?
a great feeling. Like, I did a show. Post my show, I'm meeting so many girls like me who come from a simple family, simple orthodox family, middle class or whatever class you want to call it. So it feels so good that these girls, they come up to me, they are like, "Hey, you're my favorite, I watched your show, I want to become like you."
So good job. It's also Father's Day today, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Daddy, for the
We've
skin.
all been speaking about our dads, right?
yeah. On this note, it brings us to the end of our first podcast, Healthy Conversations. I hope you guys have learned a little something. Of course, you've made me learn so much more. Each of your perspectives was very unique, and the same goes to the people viewing this, the people listening to this. I hope you guys have had a good time, learned a little something about nutrition, about dieting, about fitness, about well-being, looking good and staying healthy. So thank you so much for watching us, and thank you to our guests Urvi and Rajan.
Thanks for having
Tharun
us here.
Sholarajan for being here. You can find Urvi on Instagram, of course.
Urvi Shetty, verified account.
Urvi Shetty verified account is where you can find her. Tharun,
Not yet verified. Coach Tharun Sholarajan.
and you can definitely find Food Darzee on Facebook, which is Food Darzee, on Instagram, which is food.darzee, and of course this YouTube channel, which is @fooddarzee. Thank you so much for being with us, and goodbye. Hope to see you again on the next podcast. We're going to do it very, very soon. Stay tuned, and wishing Food Darzee a 2nd year anniversary. Bye bye. Done.